Hey, Facebook, you caught us behind the scenes
Uh-oh.
at the March for Life New York studio. We're getting ready for another show on Blog Talk Radio, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And we have a special guest tonight. You have to watch, you have to listen, you have to invite your friends. Can you tell our friends about the special guest while I invite on Facebook?
Well, we have Michael Carey with us of the Jonathan Carey Foundation. We're going to speak tonight about children born with disabilities and what's happening and how much our state
Your show will
doesn't
go
do
live in 5
for
seconds.
those that
4,
need help
3,
so much. And
2,
once
1.
again, the governor's involved. So hold on to your
Blog
seats. We're going to have a
Talk
great
Radio.
show.
I'm inviting all our friends.
In the Gospel of John, Jesus said the thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. But I have come that they may have life, that they may have it more abundantly. The thief that steals, kills, and destroys lives came in under the guise of Roe v. Wade in 1973. Since then, approximately 58 million babies have been murdered. Statistics say that approximately 3,700 babies are aborted in the U.S. daily. And there are approximately 1.3 million children brutally losing their lives every year. But March for Life New York was established to bring awareness of this tragedy and to bring an end to Roe v. Wade in our lifetime, for we aim to be history makers in our generation. And now, here are your hosts, pro-life activists, Pastors Jim and Joni Lupus.
Well, hello, history makers. You're listening to March for Life New York Radio, New York's pro-life radio. I'm your host here every Monday, Pastor Joni Lupus, with my wonderful husband, Pastor Jim Lupus. And we're coming to you live from our New York studio. And we want to thank all our listeners. If you're listening on Facebook, please share this and put it on your stream because we're not able to share it. If you're listening on the YouTube, please have people come and join us. And on the radio also, tonight we want to say a big hello to all our listeners on radio, on Facebook, and on YouTube. But Pastor Jim, tell us where they're listening from on the radio tonight.
Well, special shout out to India, the Philippines, South America, Europe. Great Britain's been increasing in our audience, and we're so thankful for that. And I want to especially acknowledge tonight Canada.
Wow.
Because Canada is much like New York in that it's very liberal. It's going through the same pains we are, and yet our audience is increasing. So I'm excited to hear that. 'Cause
Yes.
we need to come together and join together and really overtake this evil of abortion.
And if you're new to the March for Life New York Radio, we want you to know that we are a non-for-profit ministry. Our purpose is to educate the public on the horrors of abortion and to fight for life of the innocent preborn babies, and to help the moms and dads who chose to end their baby's life by abortion to find healing and forgiveness in the loving arms of Jesus, where we all have to go, right, for
it.
healing and forgiveness.
That's the only place.
Tonight, our guest is a very special person, Michael Carey. Michael is the founder and president of Jonathan's Foundation, a foundation he started and named after his son. Welcome, Michael, to March for Life New York Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and why you started this foundation?
Sure. So it's the Jonathan Carey Foundation, just for listeners. So we started the foundation in our son Jonathan's name and memory, but more than that, for Jonathan's friends now. Jonathan, just to go back, Jonathan was born with a developmental disability and with autism, and he was primarily nonverbal, and he's an amazing young man. For me, he was the most loving person I've ever met. Just amazing young boy. He needed help, as a child with disabilities, and needed some assistance to learn to toilet train and get dressed and whatnot. So we put him in a special school that was supposed to specialize caring for children with autism, and that was back in 2003. And in 2004, our son was severely abused and neglected there. And once I tell the listeners some of what happened to him, they're going to, really be shocked. This school was using withholding food and meals for behavior modification.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
So, we didn't find out. We started seeing some weight loss, and as soon as we started questioning, what's going on, the facility immediately, wanted, cut off our communication with staff. They set up their own point of contact person. And then thankfully somebody came forward. To this day, we think possibly was an angel, because we never saw this person before or after.
Wow.
And they insisted that we took a specific clothing bag when we were down to pick Jonathan up to go to a dental visit. And it turned out, which eventually we did take the bag, put it in the van, and then it went home by mistake. And my wife found this communication logbook where
Wow.
they communicate staff from the residents to the school.
Wow.
And in that logbook was entries revealing that they were, like for instance, Jonathan wouldn't put his T-shirt on. In parentheses, he refused to eat, and back and forth, and you could see a distinct pattern. And but we were able to get Jonathan out of there. We thought the state of New York was going to properly investigate and call in, the police, et cetera. We had to care for our son now, who was, on top of his disabilities, he was severely damaged emotionally because of the abuse and neglect he sustained.
My goodness.
And I'm going to just say this, it wasn't just the withholding of food, and we're talking 40 to 50% or more of his meals over the course of like about 5 weeks or more.
Wow, that's terrible.
But illegal restraints, seclusion. So this is a problem all over the world. A lot of people do not value people with disabilities properly, and so they're considered a lot of people's eyes that they're a very lower class group of people. So a lot of the money that's supposed to be used to provide safe care and services for them actually goes to enrich a lot of people that are running these facilities.
Oh God.
The top people, especially in these not-for-profits. In New York State, they have hundreds of them, and a lot of them are basically bogus not-for-profits that are basically receiving huge amounts of Medicaid money from the federal government, and then violating federal laws, and actually financially exploiting these individuals, and then covering up the damages of the abuse and neglect. And this is it's beyond sick. I mean,
Yes.
what was going on in the Catholic Church, with this pedophile
Yes.
church, the pedophile priest scandal.
Uh-huh.
It's almost identical in the New York State mental health care
Oh
system.
my God. And we're talking about children. I mean, of course, there's adults too, but here we were talking about your child, just a child. For people to treat them like that is just horrible. March for Life New York is pro-life, and that means we fight for the life of the unborn and for the rights of those who are all, who all deserve rights, born or non-born. And do you see that the New York governor not respecting the life of those with special needs, Michael?
Oh, it's so crazy that this governor. I've done everything imaginable as Jonathan's dad, and it's become a very well-known civil rights and children's rights advocate here in New York State. I've been able to get a lot of newspapers to do exposés and et cetera. And I'll talk about a little bit of that. But I've done everything imaginable going back to when the governor was the attorney general. and the sad part is he had every opportunity to do the right thing. I actually met him the first time in the Albany County DA's office right after, listeners don't know this yet, but my son was a year and a half afterwards. He was killed at
Oh my
a
God.
state facility by his caregivers. So Jonathan's in heaven now. So, forgive me.
No, that's okay. We understand. We do.
So the thing is, that so many children's lives are in danger. The governor, when he was the attorney general, promised to, and forgive me one moment.
Take a second and
Forgive me,
no,
forgive me, everybody.
not
Somebody
at all.
just stopped
Sure.
by here. So the governor promised that he would help. And then when I started sending the letters, official letters, certified letters, et cetera, saying, listen, this is what needs to be done. So many people with disabilities are in grave danger, and let's turn this around. Let's finally make the system better and safer. He said he would help, and then he outright lied. I had to corner him in a meeting. He was in the Capitol for there was a State of the State address when Governor Patterson was governor, and I went over and I approached him. I said, I've been sending letters. You said you were going to help. He agreed to a face-to-face meeting in person, but then I had to fight for it. And then when it got close, basically he shifted it to a couple other top people in the AG's office. So we're talking 2010.
Wow.
Now I went down with a suitcase, a carry-on suitcase with documents, evidence, state, the numbers, what's going on, and with one extremely important smoking gun document, which revealed the fact that the state has what they call a coherent oversight scheme and a carefully cultivated understanding with the provider agencies. So we're talking all the state and private provider agencies that provide services for the disabled to protect them and their staff from lawsuits. And it all surrounds the hiding and concealing of documents and evidence of the abuse and neglect, which are crimes. So what's going on in a nutshell, so in that meeting with the governor's top social justice person and civil rights person, which one of them right now is the governor's top attorney right in the Capitol. His name's Alfonso Davis. I showed them the document. I said, listen, this clearly documents a criminal conspiracy to obstruct justice and to conceal crimes committed against our most vulnerable. The woman in the meeting, her name's Eileen Dennerstein. She was the governor's top attorney for first 3-4 years of his when he became the governor. She laughed and she goes, "Oh, typical bureaucracy."
Oh my goodness.
And yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the attorney general Cuomo did nothing. His office did nothing, and they just systematically continue to go on to cover up, thousands and thousands and thousands. We're talking 8,000 calls going into the abuse hotline for the disabled every month here in New York State.
8,000 a month?
8,000 calls a month, and that's the reported ones. There's far more that are never reported.
My God.
It's absolutely rampant with physical and sexual abuse.
And don't they look into it? Like you said, your son, the person that was supposed to be helping your son killed your son. Did they look into that? Was there charges filed against that? Was anything done against that person?
Well, in our case, fortunately, yes.
Oh, that's good to hear.
They tried the facility did try to cover it up.
Oh my God.
There was Jonathan's best friend was in the van, and they tried to put him to sleep so he would not talk to the police, but he came out and he told the police what happened.
Oh my God, they're so evil. This is so evil.
It is off the charts evil. As we see it, we're seeing it obviously manifest with this abortion atrocities.
Yes, yes.
We have a governor that obviously is totally operating lawlessly, above the law. I don't know what influences or cause him. How does any person justify in their heart or mind to not only obviously commit murder at all these children, but to the most vulnerable that are amongst us that are under his charge? These are people under
Yes.
the authority of the executive branch in the state's mental health care system.
Unbelievable.
These are it's directly under his responsibility. So God have mercy on his soul. I mean, I pray for him. I pray somehow he has a radical conversion like the Apostle
Yes, yes.
Paul. But at the same time, he must be removed from office.
Yes, definitely.
The crimes
Definitely.
that he's involved with are these are like war crimes.
Yes, of course. Of course, people are being hurt. Children are being murdered and killed, and it's terrible. People, children, and people that can't help themselves. These are people that should be taken care of. Disgusting. But you can only wish that in these facilities that there would be people that work there, that work in the facilities that maybe are Christian, that love God, and they see these things, and that they would reveal it, and cause be witnesses towards these things, because this has to stop. It really, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing.
Well, here's the thing: is there are a lot of decent caregivers and there are a lot of people reporting. For instance, like I said, you got 8,000 calls of abuse and neglect going in every month on average. So there's calls going in now. They think that it's going to an entity that's doing something, but in all reality, they call it the New York State abuse hotline, called the Justice Center for the Protection of People with Special Needs. It's got a great name.
Yeah, right.
But it's doing the exact
right.
Yeah, it's doing the exact opposite.
Yep, we know.
So they're protecting the facilities, they're protecting the rapists, they're protecting the sexual predators, and on and on and on. The people that take the lives of the disabled, most of them escape justice, unfortunately. Now we're trying to change that. We're exposing the system. I've been fighting for one of the big laws that we've been fighting for ever since my boy was killed in 2007 is I call it the 911 Civil Rights Bill, which would require all people that work with the disabled and caregivers and administrators, everybody, nurses, doctors, that they have to call 911 regarding any physical or sexual abuse, which is a felony in New York State, and all medical emergencies above basic, first aid type stuff, and anybody that's found unresponsive. There's no law in New York State that requires these people to call 911.
That's insane.
And how can we get that going? Is there some petition? What can we do? I mean, if you are going to work with this, is there any lawyer that we can get? What can we do to stop this? I know you've been fighting this a long time, but is there anything that we can?
Well, right.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I drafted legislation. I fought for it for years and years. I got it last year was the most success. I had 3/4 of legislators signed onto the bill, but what they did is they just block it in committee and then make sure it doesn't get to the floor for a vote.
Oh my God!
So they stopped it. And this legislature here in New York State now, with Governor, Speaker Heastie, and Andrea Stewart Cousins, it's a monopoly. They all work together in conjunction, and I cannot even get in to meet with them, more or less get anything through. So right now it's really I'm appealing to the federal government. I was at one of the congressional representative office today. We've been seeking federal criminal and civil rights investigations by the U.S. Department of Justice.
That'll be good.
And then we're appealing right to the top for the 911. This needs to be done across the board because our research finds out it's not just New York State regarding the 911. It is a national crisis. It's a national civil rights issue. We have not found one state in the country that requires their workers to call 911.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
So we're trying, to get inroad. All my representatives are they're diehard, and I'm not, for any specific party. I mean, if anybody's going to do the right thing,
Yes,
but
yes,
the Democratic
definitely.
Party in New York State, though,
Yep.
I mean, they have gone off the rails to such a point you can't communicate with them. You can't speak reasonably with them. Even if even if they want to do the right thing, their leaders are telling them they can't do it.
Exactly. That's
That's
they're going to
terrible.
be part of the party. Let me ask you a question, Michael, and we're going to take a quick break right after this. We want to help you. We want to get involved with this, and we have a congressman that's very pro-life here, Congressman Lee Zeldin. I'm going to get in touch with Congressman Zeldin. I want to speak to him. My wife and I, we're going to get in touch with him. Let me ask you a question, only because you're more educated in this, unless you can bring us up to speed and we can meet him. But if I was able to get a meeting with him, would you come to Long Island and speak with him?
Well,
I know it's a long haul. Or
and
maybe
I've already met with the congressman.
Oh, you did?
before.
With Lee
and-
Zeldin?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Congressman Zeldin. He has officially put a letter in, along with two other congressmen and one congresswoman, seeking federal investigations of the Justice Center. But for whatever reason, they're not getting it. It's not getting done. Still, there's some sort of blockage somewhere, and so your help would be phenomenal to get back in there and to really insist that, listen, a letter coming back from the U.S. Department of Justice basically saying, well, we'll look into it or this or that, and then just nothing happening.
Right.
Is
he needs somebody to stay with him that, and we know.
We need.
Yep. So what we're going to do with that, we'll communicate. You, my wife, and I will communicate more on that after the show, and in the upcoming weeks, and we're definitely going to stay on that.
And you let us know if there's
because,
anything we can do, because we have to fight this fight. We have to do it.
And we will sometimes. And Congressman Zeldin,
Thank you.
They got a million things. Also, they need somebody like you said to stay on top of it. And us being local, maybe we can do that. And we got to go even
that would
even
be phenomenal.
further than that, because and even with Governor Cuomo, I think we need to be a voice, and
Yes.
we need to be an aggressive voice and a loud voice too. It's a shame, like you said, the lawyer laughing and saying this.
That's
and
disgusting.
They put it off. You know what?
That's very
With the
evil.
right spirit, they need to be put in their place, and we need to take care of this because we have to protect, like you say, the helpless. And we'll be right back.
Yeah, don't go away. We'll be right back.
This portion of March for Life New York Radio is brought to you by FELAC Electric. For over 30 years, with over 40,000 electrical installations, we have earned our customers' trust and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. When a FELAC electric service vehicle arrives at your home, it is fully stocked and ready for all your electrical service needs. Your service technician is trained and prepared to provide prompt, efficient, and courteous service. We bring decades of quality and experience, and FELAC Electric holds all local and incorporated village licenses and is fully insured and bonded for your protection. So give us a call. FELAC Electric for all your electrical needs. Call us today at 516-932-7900 or 631-420-1700. FELAC Electric. Done once, done right.
Need information on abortion, fetal development, or Down syndrome? Check out prolifeed.org. Would you like to know about assisted suicide, black genocide, or eugenics? Check out prolifeed.org. Like to learn more about bioethics, euthanasia, or post-abortion syndrome? Check out prolifeed.org. That's prolifeed.org. Sponsored by the Long Island Coalition for Life Educational Trust Fund.
We have returned, and you're listening to March for Life New York Radio. I'm Pastor Joni, and we're talking with Michael Carey about the Jonathan Carey Foundation. And if you're watching or listening, please share our video right now on your page. Like us on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to us because now we're on YouTube. And if you started your holiday shopping on Amazon Prime, you can support March for Life New York just by shopping. Please go to smileamazon.com and tell them that you want to support March for Life New York. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will support our march. And please note that the 2020 March for Life New York will be held on May 18, 2020, because we heard that the New York session will end this year before Memorial Day. And we want the politicians inside the building when we are outside marching for life on May 18.
Amen. Michael, I want to ask you a question too. Now, what if how do you discern? How do you know? How can you educate yourself, like our listeners? Say if they have an autistic child, or they're looking, they have somebody with a disability, and they need to go into a residential home. How do they know? How can they really pick out a decent one? Jonathan was in 2 homes, and they both turned out pretty bad. How can you really find a good one?
They can reach out to me, and I can actually try to, go from some documents that we have to see how much abuse has, been reported to some of the different ones. But I can't personally recommend any that I'm aware of that are, really good.
Unbelievable. See, that's it.
There's got to be some out there that are better, but the system as a whole
is broken.
Is set up really with almost hardly any safety and abuse prevention measures in place to actually provide the safe care and services.
Wow.
And then they have the system for all this internal reporting to hide what's going on and keep the crimes from the police and talk about. So anyway, they can reach out to me if they'd like. But I can also give them wisdom if they have to put their child in a facility. That I can give them a lot of wisdom, advice, what to do and what to look for. But the system as a whole is extremely dangerous. I told you the numbers. The deaths are approximately 11 to 13 deaths on average every day in New York State.
Wow, that's
in the
so
mental health care
horrible.
That's insane.
And a lot of people don't even know this. This is like a shock to a lot of people. And we really need people to know the truth, what's happening out there.
And Michael, before...
Yep, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as a Christian, I don't like to always focus on the bad, but in this case, you have to release and give people the wisdom.
Of course.
And so they're aware. We were unaware. The state of New York hid the information. They knew the facility that we were putting our child in was the worst facility in the state by far.
Wow. Oh my God!
It had a history. Yeah, it had a history of abuse and neglect, and they hid it from parents. They hid it from school districts. So, like when we went to our school district and said, we need help, and they agreed, and and the school district actually paid for it. I mean, they checked into it. We checked in it. We couldn't find anything bad, and yet we find out that years later, after Jonathan's killed, and then there's an investigation, and then one of the investigators pulled me aside and said, "You got to foil this one specific document," and through Freedom of Information law, and that document read that the school, the Anderson School in Stottsburg, New York, now it's called the Anderson Center for Autism, had 73% of the indicated cases of child abuse statewide.
Oh my gosh!
In 2002 and 2003, we put our son in there in January 2003. Had no clue that we were putting our son into harm's way.
So that's the horrible thing. That should be out in the open.
How are they still able to be
that
open?
should be out in the open where people can know what they're getting into. And that's very bad that they cover it up. It's evil.
They cover them all up, and this facility, it's still operating. The people that were involved, they all got away with it. When we went to the police, the state police, and the DA's office with documents and the bruising, my son had bruises all over his body,
Oh, my
four,
goodness.
probably 4 dozen bruises.
And how old was he again?
13.
For the listeners?
At that time, he was 11 years old.
All bruises at 11 years old. That is so sick. Oh, my goodness.
Bruises head to toe. I mean, my son's, Jonathan's toes were all ripped, the skin ripped right off the top of all his toes.
Oh, my God.
I mean, they must have dragged him. God only knows what they did. They tortured him there.
Oh, my God.
And the state covered it up. The facility covered up. And here's the other thing. You like in that area, what happened is the media also covers and protects
my
that
God.
facility.
Demonic.
Yeah.
It has to be demonic because
It's
that's the only word we could use for anyone covering that up for an adult, but let alone an adult, for a child, to do that to a child. It's the most evil thing, demonic.
It is. And how do you get the district attorney's office to drop the criminal case? Well, the state of New York calls the DA's offices and says, listen, you're not doing anything with this. I get a call from the DA's office and says, why don't you just pursue this civilly and drop the criminal charges? I said, absolutely not.
Oh, my God, that's terrible.
I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm concerned about the other 135 kids there at that facility that are in grave danger. Well, the DA's office dropped it. I tried to get the story out to the multiple local papers and TV. They wouldn't do anything. They literally, it's like a bubble, and I've seen that in Albany too.
Yeah.
They literally protect and shield the people and entities they want.
Demons. Maybe we
And
should go
they protect-
protest.
Yes,
Maybe we should protest outside
that's
there.
exactly what it is.
Did you ever think of protest?
We did one a number of years ago. The actual CEO of the facility, I'm just drawing a blank. I'll remember in a minute his name. He almost thought of it. He actually was getting the Eleanor Roosevelt Award.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I can't
right?
believe it.
And so we made up a huge poster, and me, my wife, and my son Joshua, and a few others went down, and we stood right across from the entrance where this award ceremony was going to be, and we had just put the huge sign right out for everybody going in and out to see.
Wow.
That the Anderson School was rampant with abuse and neglect, and we did everything before the thing even started. We brought documents down. Said, listen, this is what's going on. Oh, his name's Neil Pollock.
Oh my gosh.
He was operating this thing, and he making somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year, and basically just systematically covering up the incidents of abuse there.
Disgusting.
And so I wanted to touch base into the deaths because this is another area it's going to shock people, but I'm hoping it shocks people to do something. And then one thing it can do too is consider helping us financially. They can do that online through our foundation.
That's what I want to get up
Jonathan
there.
Carey
Joe, can we put it?
Foundation.org.
Yeah, we had it up, but we're going to put it on the
gonna
screen.
Put it up on
we have it up
Facebook
right now.
So I just want to make it clear. So, Michael, if somebody wants to get
there.
involved to help, also especially financially,
Yes.
what's
their best way of giving?
Just go to the website, Jonathan Carey, JONATHAN, Carey, CAREY, foundation.org. And then you just go right to the donate page, and you can donate right through PayPal, use a credit card. That would be great. We really could use the help.
And we have it up on the screen.
Some of the things we've.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say some of the things we've done over the years is we've bought a lot of airtime, and I've done TV commercials.
Good.
And 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 I'll just say, I was thinking about this before I called in. Is for the babies. Um, the first time around, a couple of years before this horrific bill passed, this where they're killing the
Yeah.
babies right up to
Yeah.
the point of birth now. I did a TV commercial, and I ran it for the week prior to the election, all over the state. Thousands and thousands of dollars, and I explained not only in 30 seconds, I hit it. Listen, this is what's going on. This is what's going on regarding the disabled, and the cover-ups of abuse, and this is what the governor's trying to do. Pull off a scheme under the guise of women's equality. It's all about murdering children, and you have to stop it. And I just got that out to thousands and thousands and thousands of households.
That's great.
And I think I just hope we were part of stopping it for those couple of years before this last time. Now, this past year when all this evil came down, we did a lot as well. And one of the things we did too is we reached out to hundreds and hundreds of churches, and I shot 2 different short videos, and I said, please, get involved. You got to understand that if the church does not rise up and unify and speak up and out against this evil, we are going to have late-term abortion in a matter of a few months. And I did not, and I'm not. This reveals a problem.
Yes.
A very big problem.
Yes.
When leaders don't lead and they remain silent and complicit, this evil stuff starts to manifest more and more.
That's right.
And so I tried to get to a lot of the leaders. And I had about 4 out of hundreds and hundreds of emails to churches all over the state. I got, I think, 3 or 4 responses back, and they said, we do not believe what you are saying,
My God.
and take us off your email list.
I know we got those responses too.
Unbelievable.
We said we
Yeah.
contact a lot
do,
of churches.
Do nothing, cowards. Do nothing.
But
cowards.
we want to work with you. So if you have
Yeah,
those
we're gonna get there.
commercials, if you could send them to me, I'll try to put them on
Oh yeah, we can put
on
them
our
radio
page
show.
because that would be great. And you know what I was thinking too? I'm sure you thought of all this before, and you probably done it all before. But a lot of times it's a good thing if we can get a group of people, a big group of people together to go to those schools and protest. And maybe some people that their children have been abused too, so we could warn the other parents. And when you have a group of people, like even when we had the march in Albany, we had the 3,000 people, the media does want to talk about it. When they see a crowd, they want to talk about it. So maybe we can
That's
work
true.
together to do that. I mean, we'd love to fight
Yep,
for
we're
this.
gonna- we're gonna-
We
yeah,
want to
we're gonna-
fight for life, and these precious children with special needs, they need us to fight for them. This is horrible. You were telling us about all the children that die, that actually die in the care of these facilities. Horrible.
Just horrible.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I want to talk about that because here's how they get away with it. Again, they bypass 911 call system,
Unbelievable.
which is federal money. So they're treating the disabled, discriminate against them, treat them unequally, don't provide them the equal access to emergency medical and police services. Then they keep the crimes, almost all of them, from the local police, and they don't notify most of the county elected DAs, so they can't prosecute. So it keeps those crimes from the court. And then the deaths, most of the deaths are never reported to the county elected medical examiner or coroner.
Wow.
So they're keeping most of the deaths from being investigated and autopsies done.
Wow. And the family doesn't want to know what happened to their children? Do they lie to the family?
Well, I think there's some families, obviously, that want to know. But what happens, and I was explaining this to somebody else, I think yesterday or earlier, whatever it was, but basically you have the family, once a family member gets news that their child has died, I mean, it's the most
Yes.
devastating news I believe anybody can get.
Yes, of course.
So the trauma involved and the pain and and shock, everything attached to the loss of your child. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Really am.
Thank you.
And I want to, and I want to say is, but people need to know, because basically they're in shock. They don't know. They're trusting some other agency to do something, and what's happening is nothing's being done. And then, a lot of people are choosing cremation these days because of the cost, and so they think something was done, but there was no really legitimate investigation. Then their loved ones cremated, and then it's like, there's no evidence to prove anything.
This is horrible.
And so I've been shouting this stuff from the rooftop. I've been trying to get reporters to do stories on the deaths and the civil rights things, but it's like pulling teeth. It's unbelievable that I've had some success over the years, and if anybody wants to look at some of the biggest one, was the New York Times did do a series called Abused and Used, which was a runner-up for a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
That was all, we fought hard for that, and they did that. But what they did is they stopped short of bringing it right to the governor's feet, and the people that were really responsible, they didn't want to expose those people.
Yeah.
So they exposed the problem, and then they thought the governor was going to be involved in fixing the problem when he wasn't. Then when I asked the New York Times to revisit it, and now it's time to finish the job, and not only reveal all the things that have not been done to fix the system, but you have to tie in the governor and the unions and all the people that are making millions off the disabled and these bogus
oh my
not-for-profits.
Goodness, terrible. It's like a nightmare.
But they won't. They won't do it.
Wow. Well, we're gonna be praying, and we're gonna be
Yes.
joining the battle with you, Michael. And
Thank you.
I tell you what, I just feel it in my spirit. So before we cut to a commercial, I just want to say this: Christmas is coming. And for everybody out there who buys a shirt, a tie, a new, some socks and stuff,
Socks,
and you give
underwear.
and when you give it to the person and you see their look of disappointment,
Right.
remember, you should have gave that money to the Jonathan Carey Foundation.
Yes.
Why don't you do something really
Yes.
great this Christmas and please the Lord? After all, it's his birthday, so give him a gift. And make a donation.
Yes.
Really pray about it. Make a donation because they can really use it. There's a war out there, and they could use it. The JonathanCareyFoundation.org. Go on there.
We
go
have
to
it on
the
the
donate
screen.
page and make a donation.
Helping those that cannot help themselves. Really, truly, we really have to help those that cannot help themselves. And we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
The Long Island Coalition for Life has been helping communities choose life for more than 40 years through public outreach, legislative advocacy, prayer, and education. The Long Island Coalition for Life invites you to join their efforts to restore respect for the sanctity of life through the Stand Up for Life and Face the Truth events, street fair booths, oratory contests, and vigils. Visit the Long Island Coalition for Life at www.prolifeli.org, where you can read the LICL newsletter, Life News, and find information on local pro-life resources. Find out how you can be a part of effective pro-life action by calling 631-243-1435. That's 631-243-1435. Or visit our website at www.prolifeli.org. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Broken Land, God's Message in a Bottle, is a book written by Gail Koop that speaks God's truth into a culture that has thrown it away. Through a prophetic dream about a baby in a bottle thrown in the trash, God revealed his heart about abortions and compelled Gail, who had 2 abortions herself, to write about it as the moral debt ceiling of today's culture. Because when you throw life away, what else can possibly matter? Gail is a modern-day Jeremiah, crying out to a lost generation. Broken Land, God's message in a bottle. Available at Amazon.com and Olive Press Publisher. For more info, contact Gail Coop about interviews or speaking engagements. Go to BrokenLandBook.com. That's BrokenLandBook.com.
We're back, and we're planning on March for Life New York 2020. March for Life New York 2020 will be held on May 18, 2020. If your group, your church, your business would like to be a sponsor, donate $50 and send us your logo. Do it soon, because we're getting those flyers going soon, and we'll put them on thousands of flyers and posters. Please partner with us to make this happen. 2020 March for Life t-shirts are here. You can go to marchforlifeny.org to donate and to get your March for Life 2020 t-shirt. I know everybody wants them the last minute. The day before the march, everybody's asking me for t-shirts. That's marchforlifeny.org. And I think we're taking questions, so you can call us. What's that number? Put the number up on the screen. Give us a call if you have any questions.
You got it, 929-477-3870. If you have a question for Michael or a comment, it's 929-477-3870.
Yeah, leave that on for a while. You can give us a call. You know, Michael, whatever we can do to work with you and help you, we're on board. We do want to help you. It's just incredible. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this is going on. We really need to educate people to let them know what's going on. I'm sure parents that have children that they're going to put in these facilities don't even know. And they don't even know what.
You trust
so
these,
sad.
like going to the hospital. You trust them to do the right thing, and then they don't. And
Right.
Michael, I got another question for you that you mentioned earlier, and the tragedy just keeps going because you even say how the toll it takes on marriages.
Yes.
There's so much involved here.
A lot of families with people with disabilities. One of the partners, in the marriage, a lot of times can't handle it or just doesn't want to handle it or whatever the reason is, and they bail. There's a huge, it's like 90% or so of marriages fail.
Horrible.
So what happens is a lot of times it's one's parents trying to raise and take care of the child. So it's extremely difficult. There's usually a major sacrifice in income. A lot of times, or if the parents are together, one can't work because they're taking care of their child a lot in many different ways. Then when there's an opportunity for a group home or something to open up, a lot of times a lot of the families think, well, this is an answer to our prayers. That's what we did, and thinking this, in our case, our son's going to get help. He's going to learn to toilet train, going to, learn, but from people that really are supposedly specialists, and they don't realize, that, there's not even in New York State, you don't even have to be licensed. You don't have to go to college, go through any significant training or licensing or anything to be a New York caregiver.
Wow.
It's like off the charts. You wouldn't hire a nurse off the street and put them in the hospital to do nursing work.
Wow.
Well, this is very similar.
It's something.
But it's a total disregard for this group of people's safety, and it's almost from what I'll even take it to the level of this. If we're thinking that it's probably a couple thousand deaths or so are criminally negligent deaths.
Wow, my God.
And there's nothing a year.
My
so
God.
And nothing being done to stop it.
Wow.
Well, we got some callers.
So
we don't want to lose these callers.
Okay.
They might have questions for you.
Okay.
Hi, who's on the line?
Hello. Hi, it's Nancy.
Hey,
Nancy.
Nancy. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I am good. I'm just, I feel very sick, calling in tonight. I actually feel like so sick to my stomach, and
Yes.
I'm really emotional about this. And I'm very sorry, Michael, for your loss.
Thanks, Nancy.
I have no words for it, but I work with, for 30 years now, I've worked with children with special needs. It's been my whole career. I'm a speech pathologist.
Thank you.
And I'm very fortunate that I've always worked in the best facilities, preschools, and it's a different atmosphere, of course, but the thing that I was going to say, and you had said it just when I was on the phone waiting, I could hear you talking, and you said that there's very poor training for caregivers. And I remember years ago I worked in the 90s. I worked in 2 group homes for developmentally disabled adults. And I remember going in and being very depressed when I went in. The whole facility was like very depressed. And I know they worked very hard with the clients there, but they weren't well trained. And the other thing about the training, even if you're well trained, you have to have a heart for people and for people that have special needs. And I think that's a big problem, is that even if you don't have, yes, if it's physically challenged, you do need, like we have training all the time at my job with preschoolers. I've had to handle them. They hurt themselves. They hurt others. They've even hurt, like I've been taken down by a 4-year-old. I've been taken down, bit, the whole thing.
No.
But you have to have a love for people with special needs, and that would never even cross your mind to hurt them. You would only want to help them. Even if you didn't know how to help them, you would have compassion.
That's right.
So I think that's like a thing, is that you could be trained, but unless you have a heart, you shouldn't have that job. And
that's true.
There has to be better screening. It shouldn't just be just have a job that you go get this job. It has to be the people that are hiring have to know that these people are qualified because that this is their calling.
They care.
You can't just do it for a job.
Oh my God.
You're 100% right. You got to have the grace on your life to be able to do this kind of work, and like you said, have the love in your heart and the compassion. And we found out from our experience in the 2 facilities, if we had to guess, it almost was like a 50-50 that percent, give or take, where you could tell the people that really cared and the ones that didn't would be sitting around watching TV.
My goodness.
They didn't really, they didn't care what was going on around them. They were just slacking, et cetera, whatever, sleeping on the job. And then you got the others that are just absolutely loving. They're there doing everything imaginable to care properly. So,
right.
But,
and they're making the same amount of money. And most of the time, unfortunately, they're not making money. The people that work with people with special needs don't really make that much money. It's the people higher up that are making the money. They're getting the state money, the county, whatever they're getting. But the people that work, usually they're working, like a lot of them minimal wage, a little bit over maybe.
You're right.
So they're getting paid for the same job. So my heart goes out to you, and I'm on board with, being anything I could do to help, because this is really this is so sad. And I have a friend that's going through this now. Not going through. She has a son who he's autistic, and he's 22 years old, and he's still not in a home, because every time they have a home available, it's not. She feels like it's not the right place.
Maybe that's
and
good.
She just can't do it.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Well, she can call me. Yeah, exactly. She can call me, and we could talk more. I encourage people to do everything they can to get more help from the family, friends, members from their church, because again, if they are aware of how bad it is, maybe they could help come alongside and fight for some more of the key legislation that'll make it a lot better and safer. And then when the time if they really need to go into a home, it's and we know that there is a need for group homes.
Yeah.
They just need to be safe.
Yeah.
And the pay. You're right. Since when should a not-for-profit operator, administrators make $200,000-300,000 and some $400,000-500,000 a year,
Right.
and then pay their direct care staff nothing? And
Right.
I've been fighting for better pay. Tried. New York State caregivers, if you're state employed, anyway, and a lot of them are private. Private's like just over minimum wage. If you're a state employee, it's around
Right.
starting pay is maybe $26,000 a year.
Right.
But
Right.
but here's the comparison. Corrections officers make 42 to 44,000 or something like that for starting pay. So considerably higher pay for corrections officers versus caregivers. It's unjust.
Right.
Yeah.
But you
Just-
know
just
something
another
too?
issue.
It really is.
Also, we talk about education, but even people without education, there's no person, whether they have education or no education, should hurt another human being on purpose. I mean,
No,
talking about
no,
killing and hurting.
no.
I mean, we just to be kind and to care for people. I
That's
mean,
right.
you know,
and that's some of the stuff we're going to do. Unfortunately, we got to take a quick break, and
don't
we'll
go
we'll
away.
be right
Stay
back.
where you are.
Bob and Phyllis have a legal battle ahead of them. It takes a lot to go up against big corporations. I'm Rudy Migliori. My law firm is the gateway to the powerful representation that you need.
Major corporations are big, powerful, and often international. They don't necessarily care about you or the suffering they have caused you. Their concern is how they can avoid liability.
I understand the suffering you're going through. Whether it's from asbestos exposure and you now have lung cancer or mesothelioma, undisclosed side effects from medications, medical products, medical malpractice, construction or auto accident, I can help you. If you need powerful representation capable of standing up to these giants, we have that representation for you. My law firm co-counsels with a nationwide network of law firms, providing you with powerful representation and local personal
Wow.
service. Call me, Rudy Migliori. I'm your point of contact.
I'm on it.
Need an electrician? Make sure he is licensed, insured, and qualified to do a safe job in your home. Unqualified workers can create unsafe conditions, leaving your home a potential fire hazard. Lightworks Electric is both licensed and insured with over 20 years experience in the electrical field. If you have any electrical concerns, call Lightworks Electric at 631-575-1482. We always do it right. Need a panel change or hi-hats installed or replaced? Do you have any electrical repairs that need to be done? And are you looking for trustworthy, dependable, and honest electricians? Call Lightworks Electric at 631-575-1482. Lightworks Electric is family-owned, serving Suffolk and Nassau counties. Check out our webpage at lightworkselectricny.com. That's lightworkselectricny.com.
We have returned, and we're talking to Michael Carey about the Jonathan Carey Foundation. And we really want to get the word out. We should share this video because this is such good information. We should also talk to our lawyer friend. You know, Michael, maybe we can get a good lawyer behind you, and we can do. Maybe we should sue. You know, maybe that's the thing to do.
But we got a lot, much to
absolutely.
talk about. We're going to have Michael on like five more times because we are down to the last 2
And we still
minutes.
have Nancy still on, right? Is Nancy still with
Yep,
us?
but I got to.
Oh, here we go. Are you there, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we appreciate you guys calling, but
yes.
we're down
God
to
bless
two.
you guys.
Yeah, God bless you, Nancy.
Yeah, God bless you, Nancy.
Bye, Michael.
Bye-bye. Thanks for all you do.
Michael, we definitely got to have you on
Yes,
again.
it goes so
we're
quick.
we're going to speak more because there's so much more to really look at and to speak about. And this is, I've been educated tonight. You know it's bad. You know this stuff. But again, just like abortion, until you really know, until you really touch it, so to speak, you don't realize.
And I
how
think,
crazy
maybe
it
if we can get together with some of the parents
90
that,
seconds.
have seen some of these things happening in these facilities to their children and loved ones, maybe we could make like a group. And, the more we have, the better it is. We can get the media, we
Yep.
could
No, I'm
protest,
yeah,
we can get the politicians. We need a lot of people behind this is what we need.
Yeah,
That'd be amazing.
we're gonna
Thank
do
you for your help.
Oh,
You're
Michael.
There's a million ideas going through my mind right now, but we'll talk more.
We're going to have you
Michael,
back
and
on.
we just want to thank you. Our heart goes out to you and your
Yes.
wife.
God bless
for all you
you.
had to
60
suffer through
seconds.
this, and we're
Thank you
just
so
gonna.
much for caring and inviting me on. Really
Oh,
grateful.
Well,
Our
thank you for
pleasure.
caring and, wanting to help other children not have the same thing happen to them.
And we're going to be in touch, Michael, because we're joining the fight.
It went
We're
quick.
getting on board. I can't believe it. So God bless you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
it's hard to
Michael.
believe
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you guys out in Facebook
Thank you. God
land.
bless you.
God
All you
bless.
guys out there,
Thank you.
Blog
God
Talk
bless you,
Radio. God bless you, Michael. We'll get in touch with you. And
You could
you
be
know
a
what?
history maker. Share this video.
Get on board, guys.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Seconds.